a little chair's cold. That's good. And chill pops on my biscuit. Commissioner Pastor. We're gonna get going without him.
Waiting for Daryl. He said get 30 seconds.
Waiting on Darryl. Yeah, they.
Yeah, so it's a publication of certain circulation, like if it meets that qualification. I don't know if Crusader does. I don't think it does actually.
You guys waiting for me again?
I thought so. You ready?
Okay, give me 10 seconds and start, okay?
Okay, all right.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
That stopwatch on.
1.
All right. Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for October 15th, 2019 is called to order. Can I get roll call?
President Brown,
Present.
Commissioner Cook,
Present.
Commissioner Johnson, President, Commissioner Bonds.
Present.
We have a quorum. We have 4 members present.
Foreman President will proceed with the agenda. First order of business is the approval of minutes. Do we have minutes from our last meeting to approve?
No minutes for approval.
All right. Move on to the second order of business, the public hearing.
You have 4 public hearings before you today. Each one of the agenda items in order, and we will handle them in order.
Okay. All right. First up is BZA 1914. This is Jasmine Bradford was petitioning for a special use permit to establish a used car dealership at 5001 through 03 Broadways. Mr. Bradford here.
Here.
All right, come back to the table and give us an overview of your proposal.
I'm with it.
Okay.
I guess I could maybe move a chair up
Yeah.
You guys can both stand if it's easier.
Yeah, come on. Please, please. All right.
Okay.
Okay, if I may, on behalf of Mr. Bradford,
And what is your name?
Robert Lewis. On behalf of Mr. Bradford, he has made application through a special use permit in order to conduct a used car lot at this location. The lot there is being purchased through a land sale contract, and it's a location that had been previously used as a car lot on at least one other occasion, and perhaps even more than that. It's about less than an acre. It's on the corner, and it's situated in obviously a business district, and there are other businesses along this particular corridor. There is a car wash directly across the street, and I think that car wash kind of goes hand in hand with the operation that my client proposes to have at this particular location. Additionally, I think there's a car lot that's maybe a block or 2 down the street. But I think the location is somewhat perfect for my client in this location. I think it has the ability to attract other businesses in addition to attracting other businesses. I think it's going to attract a lot of other traffic to that area because he has some nice quality used cars there. I went to the lot I viewed it. I was there for a couple of hours, talking not only with Mr. Bradford, but also to the neighbors. And they all expressed their support for what Mr. Bradford is doing. And I believe they have an interest in it also, because if you sell cars at that lot, obviously the car wash across the street has the ability to pick up some business. So I think as we look at what Mr. Bradford is doing, I think it's great for the community, and I wholeheartedly support it.
All right. Any questions from the commissioners?
I did have a question, and I'm sorry, I'm not a commissioner, I'm the city attorney for the city of Gary. We had some discussions with with Attorney Lewis in the past, and one of the things that we wanted to get clarified here is what is the actual address that you're seeking a special use for?
It is 5001 to 5003. I took a look at that, and the address of 5003, I'm sorry, 5005 to 5007 was recently purchased on a tax sale by another buyer. My client has nothing to do with 5005 through 5007.
Now, is 5005 through 5007, is that the pole barn looking building?
No, that 5001 to 5003 contains that barn.
Not according to Lake County GIS. So what is the dimensions of the property that you're proposing to operate on?
Let me see.
Oh, the
Is
cars
that-
are located right there on the corner,
that-
are they not?
I'm sorry?
The car lot is right there on the corner.
Yes.
He's got a strip of land that may be approximately 25 to 30 feet wide.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
went
it's-
past that and seen it.
It has more length than width.
Right.
Well, I need the exact measurements.
Well, I can tell you, it's just short of 1 acre, and let me see.
That's not accurate.
Well, it says 0.69 acres.
The lot in question, if it's the 001 through 3, is 25 by 115 feet. And that is not almost 7/10 of an acre.
Well, that's about right, 7/10 of an acre.
No. An acre is 43,000 square feet, so 115 times 25 feet is 28 divided by. That's 0.06 acres, not 0.6 acres.
Well, what I have and what I've located from the records is 0.69 acres. That's what I have.
Where's the legal description? So it's just this. Yeah, based on the information provided, it is one lot, and that lot is
One lot.
Correct. So it is the 5001 through 5003 Broadway, and that lot is 25 by 115 feet. And 2,800 square feet out of 43,560, which is an acre, is 0.06 acres, not 0.6 acres. So that's a very, very big difference.
Well, I went out and took a look at it, and it can compensate the handling of about 10, 12, 13, 14 cars, between 10 and 15 cars on that particular lot.
Is there a structure that's under the control of your petitioner?
Yes. Use that for repair.
That is on a separate parcel, though. The parcel, you've only included one parcel, and the parcel is 25 by 115. There's no permanent structure on that lot. Correct?
There. So you're saying that the building that he's using for repair is on a different lot?
That's correct. So the
That's-
parcel in question is lot 1, which is what you've included in your application.
Right.
Lot 2 has not been included in the application.
That's the 5007 or 5005 through
Yeah,
5007.
which you had previously said was not part of the application.
That's true.
So which one is it?
Well, again, based upon my information, that building and his office were part of 5001 to 5003. Now, if you're telling me that's not the case, then we need to take another look at that to verify exactly
Right.
what is contained within those two addresses.
Right, and that's the question that we're asking of you.
Okay.
Because yeah, we couldn't issue a variance to a lot that was not here before us, nor without the authority of the property owner. So if he's trying to get a variance that includes or special use for
Right.
that parcel, it would have to be part of this application, and it would have to have the permission of the owner of 5005 through 5007 Broadway. We would have to have that.
Okay. Well, again, it was our impression that it was included, but we'll take another look at it to verify the status of that particular property.
And just for the record, with that one lot, and you and I had this discussion, you would have the 5001 through 5003 would have to be big enough to display 10 vehicles, and it would have to have office space of at least 100 square feet per the Indiana state code for dealerships, for car dealerships.
It was already a dealership before. And
Go
what I
ahead.
want to say is, if we're going off of Broadway, I don't understand how we can go off of 05 and 07 when we're going east on Broadway. That doesn't make any sense. If we're going 01 to 03, which is off of Broadway, because the address to the property is 5001, 5003 Broadway, how can we go east and come up with 05 and 07? That doesn't make sense.
We're going
North and south.
north and south.
How?
That's if 5005 to 5007 is the actual parcel that contains that.
I own I own all of that. All of that is what I own. So if I have to petition it for what you have on your actual paperwork. You got 05 and 07 as well. You already have that.
You're not the owner of that, though. You're
I am. I own the garage. I own everything.
5005, your attorneys told us that you do not own 5005 through 5007, and that is not a part of this application.
But it is on the application.
No.
It's not on.
Because y'all have the question was when y'all called and asked him, why was the contract, the land contract shows that that's what I own.
Again, it appears that we're not going to reach a consensus as we sit here today. It's my suggestion that we perhaps reconvene on another day while I looked into what is actually going on with these two addresses and what that lot really contains.
I have
Sure.
the owner that can verify that I own 05 and 07, who I purchased the land contract with.
Sure, I mean, if that's the case, then it's not a problem. Your application only includes 5001 through
Okay, well,
03.
I wanna add
You see this right
05
here?
and 07.
It
Yeah.
says it's included
Right
on
here,
the,
it says
it's included,
207.
it's included till seven.
That's also not been recorded, right, as of right now.
It's a
you're-
land contract, so.
It has to be recorded. We have,
No,
right now.
it's ownership, I'm showing ownership, it doesn't have to be recorded.
It has to-
Latasha Johnson owns the place, and I'm in contact with her.
I thought it was Odie.
And Odie, yeah,
Okay.
So-
So it's gotta be,
that's why I purchased the property.
we have to have the owner of record. We can't have a contract that's not recorded with the,
You
uh,
have the contract.
Well, we can record the contract. That's simple.
exactly. It's really, I mean, that verifies ownership, that this is actually, this has been held out to be a change in ownership. I mean, that's the legal process for actually changing the ownership. So if you've got a land contract, it's gotta be
The land
recorded.
contract is ownership, I don't understand.
Yeah, I know what's going on. If we can, again, reconvene at another date, we'll have more information from
We
Thursday.
still haven't done what the board. It's through the board, it's not them. It's the councils. I mean, they seeing what we seeing. They seeing me petitioning for what I own, I possess that property, I done put money in that property, and I paid all the taxes for it. I have a land contract, I'm the owner.
Let me ask you a question, staff. Was this issue, were you aware of this issue before we called the meeting today?
We've had a couple of different issues that I'd worked out with Attorney Lewis. One of which was trying to figure out which parcels this was actually applicable to, because the application only states 5001 to 5003. So that was the first issue that we brought up. We had a discussion about whether or not 5007, 5005 through 5007 was going to be a part of this. It was my understanding that it was not. The other issue being that that parcel would have to be big enough to house 10 different vehicles, to display 10 different vehicles for sale. We had a city engineer that went out there and said that it was likely not going to be big enough to have to display 10 different vehicles. They obviously have every right to dispute that and we can put out 10 vehicles in compliance with the state statute. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if it's only that one lot, 5001 through 5007, and they only have ownership of that, and it's, we've got to go based off what's been recorded with the county, and then in addition to that, we have to go based off of whether or not that's going to be big enough, and if it has 100 square feet of office space. Those are what's required by state law.
So we have a problem with question of ownership, question of size for a business, and state ordinances that not be met.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we looking at the affirmative, is this BZA?
Let me ask this question before we get into this. I've been by there, and hell, he's got 10, 12 cars out there, all right there on the corner. And I've seen where the office is, and that looks to be more than 100 square feet. It's towards the rear of that building.
Well, you may be looking at two different parcels, and that's what our issue is.
I'm looking at the one that he's got highlighted there. The length, 25 feet by whatever, 100 and something is what I saw. I had no idea that the building next to it going south and adjacent to was part of the information here. But what I saw was that narrow 25-foot length along with an office at the back.
So, ultimately, I don't know whether or not that building is 100 square feet. I mean, they would have to demonstrate
That's
that.
10 by 10, right?
Yeah, it would be the office space, not the building itself, but
I
the
know,
actual office space.
that office would have to be 10 by 10, or it'd be 100 square feet, I
Yeah.
dare say, right?
It would have to be, the office would have to be,
And it looked, that was just a cursory
yeah.
look. I guess my question also is this: was it a car lot prior to, and do we have any history of that?
Well, I mean, there's non-conforming uses are all over the city. I mean, as long as they remain as a non-conforming use for a certain period of time, they lose that status after a certain period of time. And for good reason. Essentially, the city can't get bogged down by non-conforming uses. Ultimately, they've got to become conforming uses, or they've got to go through the process that he's going through, which is the special use process.
Okay.
So in this circumstance, they would have to demonstrate to the city that both that they have the 100 square feet of office space, that they could show that they could have the 10 vehicles that were out there, and they would have to demonstrate ownership.
I show all that in the layout of the property.
I guess, and that becomes the question, though, is ultimately if you're claiming that you want it for both parcels, 5001, 5007, really.
All right, I'll check it out.
We still have the issue of ownership of 5005
All right,
and
cool.
5007.
Well, I would contend with just 5001, to 5003. I'm a car dealer. I don't even repair vehicles. I only repair my own. So I'm just trying to get a business license to operate a car lot. So why can't we just tend with the 501 and 03 for the car lot? I'm displaying that I have, I'm showing where I have space for 15 cars. I'm showing this. I have 3 offices in my building. The structure itself, I got more than 10 by 10. 10 by 10 is 10, I mean, maybe 10% of this room. I don't understand.
Well, I mean, like I stated, I mean, we're at where we're at with it. I mean, we still gotta demonstrate ownership, and that's gonna probably be the biggest issue.
Ownership is a land contract. That's just like if I was renting from somebody, it's not gonna be recorded in Lake County. If I'm renting from somebody, I have a land
You still
contract
have
which
to have
shows
permission
ownership.
you can't just rent from property and then get a special use on that property. You have to show that the owner is authorized that, that they're going to have a special use on that.
Well, we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can get a letter from the owner.
I mean, that's that's actually required in the application, is that you have the authorization of the owner, or the actual property owner.
That's the signature here, is it not?
We-
The property
we-
owner's signature.
On which
On
one?
the contract for the deed,
This one.
and it has listed all of those other properties you talked about.
Yeah.
And it's signed by.
No, the property owner's not Jasmine, that's not the property owner.
I know, but that's
No,
what
no,
the
that's
property
the
owner
other-
should sign, is that what you're saying?
That's what the property owner
Yeah,
should sign.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why there's
I want
both
to call it
petitioner
attention.
Yes,
signature
seven.
and a property owner signature. You signed as
Yeah.
both, the property owner and you signed both as the property owner and the petitioner.
And you're saying the land contract would not suffice as a signature by the property owner?
No, because it's gotta, I mean, ultimately, it's gotta be recorded. We have to know that that's actually, because as of right now, our records don't show that it's owned by this individual. Because we'll go and actually confirm that, you know, this property has been transferred, it's been, you know, even if say that you went and recorded this, we know that the Lake County, their database isn't going to update itself automatically within, you know, a week or maybe even a month at a time. So we'll call and confirm, hey, yeah, this has been recorded, now this, you know, this property's been transferred.
Of course, we didn't know that in advance, that it needed to be recorded.
Yeah, to be honest, I thought you guys owned the property because, you know, when we were having those conversations, I was operating under strictly the assumptions of that it was ownership and that the other issues, you know, like I stated before, how our engineer went out there and said, you know, his recommendation would be that they wouldn't be able to hold 10 cars, but again, that's not his determination to make.
Right.
That's just what the zoning administrator would provide that information to the board. The BZA would ultimately make that determination. That's within their discretion.
So a land contract doesn't show ownership.
I've gone over this, I don't
That's
think
right,
how
I don't
many more
understand.
times I can go over it with you.
Yeah. There's no way a land contract doesn't
But
show
Mr. Bradford, it
ownership.
appears that a land contract is just one of 2 steps. The second step is having to record it. Now, I'm understanding also, it looks like you may be from Illinois.
Yes.
So sometimes the laws in Illinois and Indiana differ.
Okay.
That could be the
Because I
issue.
gotta notarize the land contract, so.
Getting it, is it an issue getting it recorded?
Huh?
Is it gonna be an issue? getting it
No, I
recorded?
don't know, you know, I don't own it, I still owe the money, so
I mean, if.
change the ownership.
There won't be an issue.
Right.
There
If you
won't
own
be an
it-
issue.
If you own it, but we
Yeah.
just did like a quick claim deed on paper, I still have to go and record it. If I don't record it, it's
not
still
what
listed.
it is, it's still the land contract that I still own, you understand? So,
I got you.
see
I
what I'm
got
saying?
you.
No one's gonna
Let's just
put
get it
a
recorded.
deed to you.
Let's just get it recorded.
Absent of that, you can have the actual current owner sign off on this application.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
That's-
the most
Okay.
expeditious way to do this.
So where will I need her to sign?
Or
Where,
the property
where,
owner.
yeah, on the
That first
application where you,
page, that
sign
first
it to
page.
the actual owner.
Okay.
Right here. That's property owner.
Okay, so I sign as the petitioner, and
Mhm.
she signs as the owner.
That's right, right.
And we need to clarify the 5001 to 003 and the 5005 to 5007.
I spoke to her today, and she said that is with the property.
Sure.
But we'll clarify more.
Right, and your land contract states that.
Exactly.
However, your application to the board does not.
Well, not only that, your attorney advised us that that parcel 507, or 505 and 507 has actually been purchased off tax sale by somebody else.
It probably has, because I paid for
I mean, your attorney
all three. Okay.
stated that to us. I mean, that's why we have the reservations that we have about, approving it for 501 through 507.
Okay. Well, like I said, we'll get the property owner to sign as the owner, and I'll sign as the petitioner, and we'll deal with the 05 and 07.
Okay.
And we'll need clarification about whether or not it was purchased at tax sale. And if it was, the current owner can probably still redeem that amount and retain ownership and control. So we'll need, verification on that matter to prove that they still have site control to even sell it to you. Because according to the treasurer's website, there's a substantial amount of back taxes out on the property.
On what property?
The 5005 to dash 07. So it's very much a caveat emptor as far as this is concerned, but I would confirm that the person who's selling it to you actually has the ability to sell you the property and grant you permission to move forward with this application.
But like I said in the first place, I was doing the 501, the 01 and 03, because I'm a car dealer. The building itself, I can deal with that on a later note, but that's what I'm doing.
Right, well, and that's what we need clarification on. We need to make sure that, obviously the application's for 1 through 3. Your land contract is for 501 through all the way to 507. But we need to clarify those ownership issues and also the development standards part of it. So there's a couple different issues at play here. We're protecting you as much as anything, because we want to make sure that if the board grants this to you, that you can actually operate unencumbered. So this is, unfortunately, this is kind of part of the process, and there's a lot of tentacles here. We want to make sure that this is done right, so that if you're given permission to operate, that there's no outstanding issues.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure
so-
is.
yeah.
With the 5001 and the 5003, I just got to get the owner to sign.
Correct.
If they need the waiver, and then we can go further with that. And
Right,
I deal
and-
with the 505 and 07. I just need to operate as a car lot, so I can maintain the light and take care of my kids. I need to
Sure.
ship cars.
Well, we need to make sure that it meets the state requirements for the used car lot as well.
It was one before. Just
Right.
like the head asked him, he never answered, but it was a car lot before, correct?
I have no clue.
Yeah, it was.
It
Next
appears,
to New
it
Motors.
appears that it was,
A
and
body shop or something like that. I thought it
And-
was a body shop, it was the parking lot for the body shop that was at 505 to 507. Which
Right.
body shop's different than a car lot.
No, it was next to New Motors. It was a car lot. I dealt with them several times.
right, and that was, not to get too deep in the weeds about existing non-conforming uses, but when the application was made, it was determined that the existing non-conforming use had been extinguished, which is why you're here, rather than it being a continuation of a non-conforming use. So enough time had lapsed where that's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, 2 years.
Right, and I believe we're, 6 months? 6 months, yeah. So,
Also, 6 months elapsed. We got
no.
special.
2 years had lapsed. If under 6 months had lapsed, you could have operated as it was previously.
Okay.
But because that time had passed, that's why you're in front of this board.
So it was a car lot. That was the question.
Well, it hadn't been anything for 2 years, so it doesn't
I
matter.
don't know if we've actually confirmed that. Yeah, kind of water on the fridge.
Right.
But that's, like I was saying again, with the 501 and 03, when I get the owner's signature as the owner, and he is the petitioner, we can move forward with the car lot. As long as we can meet.
Do you have any other further issues with the?
No, I think.
Okay.
What about the 100 square feet in terms of the office space? Doesn't that have to be verified?
That's gotta be verified, but I mean, that's something that they can provide that, I mean.
Yeah, that's something that he can build.
Yeah.
Yeah, I showed all of that in my application. You look at all the pictures.
Yeah, but that's on 505 through 507.
No, this is in the actual
That little,
office, yeah.
that little
Yeah.
cubby?
Yeah, I got
Okay.
3 offices. I got a break room, I got a bathroom, I got a showroom, I got an entryway. So if you guys would like to come down, my attorney was trying to get you guys over to come see the location.
Sure, and I think you have that in the application itself, in the site plan.
Yeah, and it's a drawing of the layout. I got 3 offices, that's 10 by 10.
Mr. President, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Has all of the necessary inspections and so forth taken care of?
Yeah, I had to get a permit for electric, plumbing, heating, gas. Went to the city for that.
And my question on top of that, based on that, is would the city building department maybe have verification of some dimensions,
Right.
perhaps?
I'm sorry, what was
City
that?
inspector.
I was asking if Mr. Bradford received all of the necessary inspections. He said yes, so he had to get a building permit. I was wondering,
Yeah.
would that information be reflected
That's,
in the building department's information?
Yeah,
Yeah, this is the only thing that's actually on.
yeah, see, and I think that's what the issue was.
Yeah, because this is where the property line is.
Yeah. So these offices are actually 505 through 507. This is the only, this would probably,
It's 10 by 10.
that's the 10 by 10?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, there's nothing in here that shows that that's 10 by 10. Like that, there's no measurements on that. I guess that would be one
So
thing.
if you come out, you see that's 10 by 10 as well.
Yeah. So the building permits that you pulled for 505 through 507.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So are we looking at the firm letters of BZA 1914?
So did you have anything that you wanted to add from the engineer? Okay.
Right. So the recommendation would be to defer and leave the public hearing portion open for the next meeting so that you can continue both the agenda item as well as the public hearing.
All right. The recommendation from staff that we defer BZA 19 to the next public open meeting, is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Can I get a second for deferment?
Mr. President, I move that we accept staff's recommendation to defer to the next meeting to allow Mr. Bradford to make the necessary changes.
And I second.
Who the property secretary, is there any further discussion? If no discussion, roll call. Madam Secretary.
President Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Yes.
7-0 for deferment.
All right, the issue has been deferred to our next public hearing, and I hope at that time we can clear this and get you moving, Mr. Bradford. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Attorney Lewis,
Okay.
for your time.
Thank you
And
all.
We'll be in contact with the office. Next on the agenda, BZA 1915, Deborah Cooper is petitioning for a special use permit to establish a daycare at 2134 Ohio Street. Is Ms. Cooper here? All right. Good afternoon. Give us an overview of your request, Ms. Cooper. Give us an overview. What is your background and history?
My name is Deborah Cooper. I've been running a daycare business for 15 years. I have another daycare too. I'm operating as well as 2134 Ohio Street. That I'm trying to relocate because my nephew sold a house, so I bought a house. So now I'm opening up at 2134 Ohio Street.
Okay, so you currently operate a daycare, but
Now,
you got to
still,
move.
I have another.
Yeah, no. So you have 2 daycares. Okay. Now, how long you been a daycare?
18 years,
18
I'm
years?
19.
Okay.
I'm level 4.
Okay.
The highest rated daycare.
Okay. All right. Do you have staff that works
No,
with you?
No.
Okay. What are your hours?
Wow.
What is your age group?
Newborns to 12 years old.
To
After
12?
school.
Newborns to 12?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
What would be the number of clients you could serve?
Client, I have I can have daycare for my 24-hour, 2 shifts. My clients can be,
I mean, how many can you handle at any one time?
Children.
oh, for myself, no, I only do like, for myself, I do like 5 kids. If they walking, but newborns, I have to have 2.
You said your landlord sold the property and you had to move the,
Yeah, she
Current
sold it,
daycare?
yeah, yes.
and so you will,
That's when I bought my house.
okay, this will be the only one you'll have though, because the other business is, what's happening with it?
Right. No, they only have that one that's up right now because I bought this house and that's why I'm over my second daycare too.
Okay.
Trying to relocate.
Okay. So you're relocating?
Yes.
I understand.
So you relocate, you're going to have one,
Right now running until I get 2134.
no, so the question is, you're only going to be operating one.
Now until I get the
This-
2134, then that'll be my second location.
That'll be your second one, but how many would you have operating at the same time?
Oh, two.
So,
And you don't have any support or anything?
Not until I get this one. Once I know I'm gonna have open my second one, then I know.
Who is the owner of this property?
I am.
Okay, because it doesn't have an ownership line at the bottom of this.
she does own it, yeah,
Okay.
that's verified. No, she's petitioning an owner.
All right.
Any other questions from commissioners?
Has this place been inspected?
Pass off inspection?
No, that won't have, this is the use approval part of it, all the
Okay.
inspections occur after. So that's an entirely different process.
Right.
That's the state, that's building department, that's, the BZA is only voting on whether or not this is an appropriate use, not for any of the interior kind of walks or spaces or whatever. The building department handles ADA accessibility and all the other building code issues. The board is merely voting on whether or not they think this is an appropriate use at this location.
Are there other daycares in the area?
Yes.
How many? And how
We
close
have
proximity?
Suzy
How close are they?
Suzy Q on Tennessee, and Suzy Q got another one behind me, like on, I think that Louisiana. It's quite a few. But like you have one on 21st. It's quite a few of them.
And you think there's room for another, obviously.
Yes, sir.
Do you have your clients set up?
For this location, yes.
And that would be,
I'm saying I'm gonna put out my application. I've been putting out applications for the hiring, but I just told them I can't hire them now because I'm not running.
I got a question for the attorney. You stated that we're just voting on whether or not this is an appropriate use.
Correct.
But how can we do that if we don't know if the structure is okay, if it has been inspected? This is a new deal for me, what
So-
you're talking about.
That is not your jurisdiction, so that's the building department's sole jurisdiction. So to bifurcate, to kind of elaborate on that, you can approve the use, but the building department can deny them operating there for building code issues. So you don't have the authority for building code, they do. You're talking only about the use. There's multiple approvals before anyone can operate in there. You're probably one of 3 steps.
This is totally different.
Yes, the board has never,
This is totally
we've
different,
operated,
but
we've
we
always waited for,
operate.
make sure permits and everything were established before we even acted, but you're
Right.
saying that's out of our purview.
Correct, because it's kind of unfair to any petitioner to have them go through the costs of, fixing up a place if the BZA were to say no to something. So you guys are basically the entry into, it's like, do you think this is a good use at this location? Yes. Now, the next part is, do they have the state approvals? Do they have the occupancy permit from the building department? So there's a line of approvals they must get. This one, in many ways, is the most burdensome because you're talking about the use. Is it appropriate? But as far as encumbering those costs for the improvements to the property, certainly there's conditions that the board can, BZA can put on for any daycare or any other approval that you may do. But as far as like building inspections or anything like that, that occurs after the fact. It's, very similar to, for example, when the Plan Commission does a zone change. You're making an approval for, say, in downtown, a business. It's a very nebulous thing. The plan, you're approving the use itself, not the actual physical dimensions of the property. That's what the zoning ordinance is for. So there's the site plan review process, and beyond that, there's also the interior building department building codes that they must comply with. So the Plan Commission is not going into the minutia of those. They're deferring to the other authority-giving jurisdictions within the city, and that's why there's that multiple-step approval process.
Okay, so if we approve it here and then the building department doesn't, does that negate our approval?
It does not negate your approval. They would have to come into compliance with the building department's regulations in order to operate.
Okay.
Can I, if I get approved, then that's when the state come in and they take an example of my house and make sure. If they don't approve it, I can't get nothing. So I have, for my application to go through the zoning, I have another application I have to go through the state for them to come in. But I have to go, this is my first step
But
here.
I got you. but
And it's very similar to, say, a used car lot. We see those all the time. If it's allowed by right, the zoning department can sign off on it, but then they also have to comply with any sort of building codes. So it's the multiple step process for approvals.
So,
Go ahead,
May I make a
Go
recommendation? A lot of this we probably need to discuss in an executive session. We probably should stick to the agenda right now, get
Okay.
through it, and then allow Mr. Bittner to make the changes that are new to some of us
Yeah.
in that session.
Okay.
Does that sound like that's?
yeah, it's exactly. As far as this petition goes though, you're looking at a residential unit. You're saying, the last thing you were talking about before that was that there were other daycares over in the area, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now,
She said a lot.
a lot of things, and that's something that you guys obviously can take into consideration as to whether or not an additional use would be injurious to, to the public health, public safety, the quiet enjoyment. Those are issues that you guys can go ahead and base that on. So it's probably best to keep discussing that issue at this
Sure. So in each one of your packets, there's the findings of fact that the BZA makes the decisions on for every single application. And what you have in front of you are 7 items that are to help the board determine how they make a decision on a special use, specifically as laid out by our zoning ordinance. So these are the most pertinent questions when making that decision for not just this application, but any other special use. And those are your guiding principles for how you make a decision, and that's mandated by state law as well as local ordinance.
All right. Any further discussion by commissioners? If not, I will open up the petition to the floor. Anyone here to speak in favor of BZA 1915? Once again, anyone here to speak in favor of BZA 1915? Hearing none, seeing none, same. Anyone here opposed to BZA 1915? Anyone here opposed to BZA 1915? Seeing none, hearing none, we will go along with the staff recommendation. What is staff recommendation on BZA 1915?
So I think what would be pertinent to do some additional research on this, because it seems that, on basis by conversation with the petitioner, that there's a fair amount of existing daycares in the neighborhood itself. And I think it'd be appropriate for the board to know exactly how many are within, say, 4-block radius, to give you guys the most up-to-date information, whether or not this use would be conducive or if it would be over, kind of capacity for the neighborhood for daycares within the area. And we'll work with the petitioner to kind of determine where those are at. And if there's any other questions specifically about the use or the readiness of the property, we certainly can work with the petitioner on that, depending on the board's,
As I look at this,
Direction.
I see very little allowance made for parking, off-street parking. I think that has been an issue in the past, whereas there's been adequate parking. And it looks as though this is a very narrow plot of land with no consideration for pulling off the street, unloading the students or the clients. And
Sure. I think that's
that
a-
would be a major concern.
Yeah, I think that's a
of
very
mine.
valid question. Is there, since there's no driveway in the front of the house, is there alley access to easily, either drive?
It's alley access, but I do pick up and drop off
Okay,
too. And plus the parents, they pick them up and drop them off too, so.
yeah, so what you're saying is that people are not parking there for more than a couple minutes at a
Just a
time?
minute. And I do my pickups and drop offs.
Mhm.
And if the parents come there, pick them up and drop them off and go ahead. There's no blowing, blowing for me to come out, nothing like that.
Mr. President, I have a question for staff.
Go ahead.
Do we still make use of the practice of sending out letters to the,
We do, and we have, in that, let's see, this is 19-15, correct? Yeah. So for 19-15, 110 were sent out, 3 without comment, two with comment, in support, and none, 0 in opposition. So I mean, it depends on what the board's flavor is. We certainly can do additional research on this matter. If the board is looks at it favorably or unfavorably, it's obviously the board's decision. So I would defer to the board's judgment as far as this particular case.
So staff does not have a recommendation on whether to approve or not approve?
or defer?
Oh, defer?
Our initial recommendation is to defer for further analysis.
Okay.
However, we also defer to the board for their judgment.
Is your analysis, how many other ones are, is that what your analysis would be on?
That is our analysis, as well as kind of the, ingress and egress, from the site itself, because there isn't a driveway, and seeing, really how, packed that street is and if it's suitable for this use. Obviously, we've, initially reviewed it, and it seems to, kind of meet those standards, especially because of the size of the house. It, really can't hold that many folks, so it shouldn't be that burdensome on the neighborhood. It really comes down to the number of daycares within the neighborhood, and I know that's one of the, kind of hot topics with both the Board of Zoning Appeals as well as the council, and we want to make sure that you guys have the, kind of complete view of that to make that decision.
I'll ask for can I get a motion for deferment of BZA 1915?
So moved.
Second.
Moving to proper second, BZA 1915 be deferred. Any further discussion?
Until, shall we put the caveat in terms of why we're deferring it?
Yeah, we're deferring until we hear further from staff on the analysis, egress, ingress, and the proximity of other daycares and their impact or non-impact on this current daycare, proposed daycare, I'm sorry.
Very good.
And would it be possible to get a better rendering of what the actual,
Floor plan looks like?
yeah,
Yeah, we can do that.
okay.
Any further additions to the deferment? If not, I'll have roll call, Madam Secretary.
President Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Yes.
4-0 for deferment.
We defer next to the next public open meeting, and Ms. Cooper will see you then.
That means they're gonna do some research.
It's on the agenda.
The next regular scheduled meeting is November 12th.
Okay. All right, so we will see you on November 12th, Ms. Cooper, and hopefully we'll be able to approve your petition. All right? All right, thank you. All right, moving on the agenda, BZA 1916. Nathaniel Maxwell is petitioning for a special use permit to establish a used car dealership at 1111 Massachusetts Street. Is Mr. Maxwell here? All right.
How y'all doing today?
Good, how you doing?
How's everybody doing?
Okay. You can pull up that seat and cool.
Oh, she was in the chair, you gotta stand up.
All right, Mr. Maxwell, give us an overview of your petition and your background on this, for this request.
I'm currently a wholesale dealer now. I'm out of Wisconsin, but I can't sell to the public. Me and Jerome Watkins, we come together to make this used car dealership work. He's also auto body.
I own a mechanic shop there.
Mm-hmm.
Been there for 7 years
At this address?
at this address.
Okay.
We fix cars and being able to sell cars and also enhance different things for the community to buy cars as well as fixing them. And just trying to enhance the business.
Would you have room enough to park if you're selling cars in addition to what you're gonna be working on?
Yes, I have the parking lot at the front side of the building. I just gave y'all pictures, and I also have a parking lot on the back side of the business.
Okay, I'm familiar with where it is, but
So we'll put it
north or south of your, I know you got a nice big parking lot on the north side, which is on the 11th Avenue side, right?
Correct.
Now, where's the additional parking? Where would they
It's
be?
on the Massachusetts side, on the south side of the building.
Okay, okay.
And that would hold like 15, 20 cars. We actually had it dug up and paved.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm familiar with your business. I go by there quite often. See how you fixed up that corner and everything and made it look a lot nicer than what it had been in the past.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Now, do you own the property?
Yes, sir.
According to Lake County GIS, the owner is Ann Campbell.
I'm buying it from her. I have a contract that y'all should have.
So you're not the owner.
I have a contract.
You have a contract to buy, but you're not the owner. Correct.
Okay, correct.
Because you listed yourself as owner and the application otherwise is in order, but you want to make sure that you actually have permission to apply for this special use. Is that in here somewhere?
I do.
Is this much like that initial one we were working
Sound
on?
like the first.
Yeah, like that first one.
Been late to do
So he would have to just get the signature of the owner.
But it sounds like Mr., what's your last name, sir?
Watkins.
Mr. Watkins said he submitted
All
something.
right, yeah, she got it. I have a signature on all that. She signed off.
Is that her signature on here?
Yeah, it still has to be on the bill of sale of the property.
Oh, no, this is
That's the one I gave. You have the contract or the bill of sale to me.
Has it been recorded? Have we recorded it tonight?
It should be, yes.
This is the one that we looked at previously, where it doesn't.
This is a rent to own. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's been recorded. Yeah, this,
Same issue.
So what would be the steps for us to get that taken care of?
because as of right now, it's still showing that the registered owner is Ann Campbell. We have to record this with the county. That way we would have had, then it would be filed for transfer, we don't, we would have to know that this property has been actually transferred. That, or you would have her fill out the application as the owner, or the applicant owns parcel. So
she would sign as the owner. You would sign as the petitioner.
And I will sign this petition.
Let's make sure.
Would she have to also sign this application for special use
Correct.
as well, where it says owner of record is different from applicant?
Correct.
You should have page right here.
Okay.
Right here.
Okay. So she needs to sign here.
And that sheet that Mr. Bond signed up to as well.
There. And she'd sign as owner here.
Okay, and I'll sign this part here.
Right.
Okay. How prepared are you guys to open up and operate?
Oh, we up and ready to go.
I mean, so you're already operating the motorsports part of it currently, correct?
The mechanic part of it, yes.
So the only change is the actual sale of vehicles, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Yes.
General business license for the motorsports? Did you, did you guys, how did you get a general business license if you're not the owner of that?
No. Like I said, for mechanic part of auto surgeon.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, I do.
So did you guys list Ann Campbell as when you guys got your general business license, did you list Ann Campbell as the owner, or did you list yourself as the owner?
They didn't ask me that question at the time, because it already was an open, ongoing business.
Okay.
It's already an ongoing business,
So there's that part on it for GBO, the property owner, on the application?
And how long have you been operating there?
7 years.
7 years? Okay. Yeah, so that's probably why. It's just been ongoing. So yeah, this is an expansion expansion to an existing business. I think it's, very straightforward. It's just making sure that you have the proper permission. I've been by there and it looks good. I don't think there's any issue with that. It's just making sure that you have the permission to, do what you're requesting from the property owner, which doesn't seem like, because you have a contract to sell, so it shouldn't be a problem at all. It's just, protecting you as well as the property owner, in this case.
She's aware it's not a problem. I can get her to sign that stuff. We talk frequently, so it's not a problem.
Sure. Yeah, like I said, that's, just kind of part of the course. And then we can have the, discussion about the, just kind of configuration of these cars and how that's going to, kind of, work with what you have going on existing with the repair of the vehicles and everything like that. Because there's obviously a difference between displaying, vehicles for sale and having vehicles that need to be repaired and, that kind of part of it too. Because, part of keeping the property clean and neat is, having that bifurcation. But yeah, I didn't have any issue with it.
So, he has to have that signature before we can proceed.
Even though I've been in operation already and I have a contract.
You're operating you're currently operating as an auto body shop, correct?
Automotive, yes.
Automotive, so when you're seeking the now add that requires the special use would require the signature of the owner or transfer the parcel to you with your name, however you want to handle it. That's basically.
For the
That's the
ability
part.
to sell.
That's the part right there, what you said, transfer the ability for me to do, and that should be in that contract, transferring the ability for me to do whatever I want.
You've got to record it, otherwise the county records still show that somebody else owns it. So if we have notice that somebody else owns it and we haven't verified with that individual, we have nothing in front of us showing that that individual has authorized you to do that on this parcel. If that owner comes forward and says, wait a second, what are you doing? You're letting people just do whatever on my parcel without my permission, that becomes an issue.
So that's the option there, getting that signed.
Yeah, having them fill it out as the applicant,
Okay.
not as the applicant, but the
Owner.
on the property,
Yeah.
on the application.
Yeah, that's just them acknowledging what your request is and signing off on it.
Understood.
Yeah. So that'll take care of, the questions here as far as the ability to do that. And your transfer of ownership is kind of, that's a private matter,
Right,
for all intents and purposes.
Okay.
So if he gets that, then what would be, have we just talked about recommendation then at that point?
Yeah, we would do it then. I think there may be a recommendation as far as removing the parking and everything like that, but we'll work with petitioners between that, now and then to, resolve any questions staff has.
So that's basically all we need at this point is her signature.
Correct.
I
Unless-
only have one question, and it kind of goes with one of the other, items for us too. This is it's currently zoned as B5, correct? Okay, so if it's B5 and we're doing it as a special use, it still has to comply with
The zoning
the
ordinance.
zoning ordinance. This one, because it looks like there's no setup on this, we may need to do a variance for the developmental variance as well, because with under that section, pull it up real quick, sorry. Under that section, there's supposed to be a 30-foot set off, for special uses, particularly auto-dependent and related retail and service establishments, which, selling automotive vehicles would fall under. Under that, it says no portion of the building should be less than 30 feet from the front property line, or less than 10 feet from any side or rear property line. So we might have to also include a developmental ordinance in order for the special use to apply. So, that's something for the next time, we'll talk with you, just so we can do it all at once. You know, if it's gonna happen, because we don't wanna come to the next time and say, wait a second, we missed this. But yeah, so we'd probably put on the agenda, you would have to apply for development ordinance, because as of right now, it's not like you're gonna move that building 30 feet off the property line. But yeah, that's.
When you say move it off the property line, what are you saying?
So there's 30-foot set off.
If you were building a new one, like say you had a blank piece of property and you're building it new today, the requirements, even though it's an existing building, because you're requesting a different use than what is allowed, it still has to conform with developmental standards. So the setbacks off of both Massachusetts as well as 11th would be 30 feet. So what we're saying is we're in favor of it, but you need a variance in order to be in compliance with the regulations of the zoning code.
Yeah, as it exists as of right now.
Right, because, the building's not going to change, it is what it is, it's been there for
Yeah.
however long it's been there.
Okay.
So that's why the developmental variance would be necessary.
And we're gonna review to make sure that it actually is required.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to defer this matter.
Correct, for the ownership reconciliation as well as potential variance from development standards.
Okay.
I can't get a motion to defer BZA 1916.
So moved.
Second.
Moving probably seconds. Any further discussion? If none, roll call. Madam Secretary.
President Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carnes?
Yes.
4-0 for deferment.
After deferment, we will see you at our next open meeting, which is November 13th. Is that correct? 12th? November 12th. And hopefully we'll have all these issues resolved. All right. All right, thank you for your
All I
time.
need is those
Signatures.
signatures.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
All right.
Yeah.
Signatures, but they'll also contact.
Contact the office, make
regarding
sure.
The other variance if necessary to make sure you get it all in.
We need to contact them ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll contact
They'll
you.
contact you.
All right, good luck.
Next on the agenda, BZA 1918, Dale Johnson is petitioning for a developmental standard variance to establish an auto body shop at 3573 through 3595 Broadway. Mr. Johnson,
Yes, sir.
have a seat and give us an overview of your request and your background for this request.
Our plan is 3595 was previous body shop.
Okay.
We bring like 20 years of experience in body work, so we look to bring, looking at reopen the shop as a body shop. We're not changing any existing structure in the building. It's adequate enough space for cars. And we don't see ourselves as being an eyesore in the neighborhood because it's secured. It's a secure lot. Any of our vehicles will be secured. It wouldn't be on the public way. And like we said, we have plenty of lighting. And then look at what we can do for the community. We can also bring some types of jobs to some of the youth that
don't have anything else to do.
Okay, so you've been, you've been in body, is the auto body work or work for how long? How many years? 20 years, okay. Were you operating anywhere else before this site?
Yeah, he's
Chicago? Oh, okay. You still have that business also? Still have that business also? So you will have two, one in
no,
Chicago?
we're looking at low key here.
Oh, you are calling it? Oh, okay. Any other questions from the commissioners?
Yeah, you've heard the issue about ownership. How do you all,
Oh, we don't own it. We are in process of buying it, but the owner signed off on this.
Okay. So you have the signature in the proper
Yeah.
place? We hope.
She's part of the petition.
Yeah,
She's
Jamie
part of
Diamond.
the- Yeah, she's part of the
Yeah, she's
petition.
right
It was
here.
her father business before. So it was like 40 years of body shop before this. So we're looking to change, we're not changing any structure or anything. We're just looking to take advantage of opportunities that it presents for us.
what's the name of your business?
It's gonna be Cave and Collision and Body and rebuild.
Say it again.
Cave Collision.
Caven, that's your name, I would assume? Okay, all right. All right.
All right.
How many individuals will be on your staff? Okay. And you'll do all A to Z, huh? Paint, vent, repair, and all of that? Okay.
Is your staff in place already? Yes. Okay.
Will you all, you say you're from Chicago, are you all residents of Gary now, is that the idea? Or will you be commuting?
That's our plan is to, after we get the business established, look at taking opportunities. We've seen a couple properties in the area, it's not too far. So it makes sense to get something in the neighborhood that we can actually watch our business and actually,
I
participate in the
understand.
community.
That's why I asked the question, you know. I do understand, okay. And you gentlemen do see a need for a business like this, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So you're represented by Attorney Leeds, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I had a discussion with Attorney Leeds on this subject, and actually, they requested to amend their petition to a developmental developmental variance. And that was based on, since they're currently located in B5 under 193 126, subsection B, where it specifically talks about special uses, it allows for the following land uses are authorized as permitted uses as opposed to a special use, because we had made the determination that they may not actually be able to be a special use. So instead, by going for a developmental ordinance or a developmental variance, they would be authorized as a permitted use if they were to get a variance, a developmental variance, based on the fact that they would be authorized as under section B2B, an automotive tenant and related retail and service establishment subject to the conditions under section 123, 193C4, which is what I was discussing earlier. The one that they would have issue with is the 30-foot set-off. Being that they're on Broadway, the 30-foot set-off of those, this is not possible for those buildings. One that's an existing structure as is. So they instead requested and have amended their request to instead become an actual, or to put forward a development of variance. I guess the only issue that we would have today though is that because it's a variance, there would be certain requirements that they would have to have, which would be a new mailing and a new legal ad, if I'm not mistaken. That's correct. So that would basically be the only issue, which, yeah.
I had a question too, is that when we said a variance, the setback, the building, when you said, we talking about as far as the setbacks, the side setback, the front setback is 30 feet, right? And my understanding that the building itself sits more than 30 feet off because it's 18 feet to the sidewalk and then there's a driveway that's another 30, like 27, 30 feet.
It's from the property line, that's, the sidewalk's off of your property.
Huh?
Sidewalk's not on your property.
Okay, but what I'm asking is this, is that the building sets back off of the property line. When the building is not right there, not off the sidewalk, so
Right, so that's what we're going to review, is the actual setback, because one of the things that we need to consider as well is the section that involves existing structures and non-conforming structures and uses. And that's, you know, up to your attorney and our attorney to see what the options are. So I think what they've determined is that you really don't need the special use, correct, Rodney?
Yeah. If you had developmental or if you had developmental variance, I'm saying. If you had a developmental variance, you'd be a permitted use, you would never need a special use again. I mean, the building would essentially, from that point on, be forever, permitted use as an auto body shop. So.
Which sounds like it's a better way to go, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's already a body shop on the inside, but it's just a non-conforming use because it hasn't been used as a body shop forever, you could, potentially if it's always got the equipment in it, probably best to go that route, but that's up to you and your attorney to make that determination. In discussing this with your attorney, he believes the better option would be to get a variance from the set-off requirement under 123-193C4.
But you're saying set off, which means setback.
Setback.
Same thing as a setback.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Excuse me, Mr. President. Mr. Johnson, have you had an opportunity to discuss what Attorney Poole has just said with your attorney?
we discussed it, but our question became, where are they established the feet, where they counting?
From what point?
Yeah, what point, because technically, when I talked to my attorney, when we talked, they were saying the setback, the building already is set back from the beginning of the property line. It's like, if we look at the property line, we said the property line is here, and the building setting's here. It's the building itself that, I thought we was going by the structure of the building.
The specific section states, no portion of any building shall be less than 30 feet from the front property line or less than 10 feet from any side or rear property line, nor shall any portion of the building be within 100 feet of a residential building. So, it's that front property line, your
The
property
frontage,
lines-
right? We're looking at the frontage, right?
Yeah, if you're you're on Broadway, correct?
Yes,
You're
sir.
front facing Broadway.
Mhm.
Your property line starts right after the sidewalk.
Right.
Mhm.
So it cannot be within 30 feet from that sidewalk. You can't have any portion of that building be within.
The building sits back 27 feet.
Well, I'm
If
looking at it
not
right now,
more.
If it's 27.
If it's 27, that's
I'm
not.
saying it's, if not more.
Well,
But
that's
the-
irrelevant, so here's, to Rodney's point, it sets back off of Broadway, however, it's on your property line on 36th, and it's on your property line on the alley, so it doesn't meet the setbacks for side and rear.
Side.
And it's also adjacent to a house, it's less than 100 feet away from an adjacent residential house, so though, 3 out of those 4, you don't meet the standard, automatically. You're not more than 30 feet back off of Broadway. So you need a variance from development standard for all 4 of those reasons.
You said it's a house behind you?
Yeah, I mean, directly
No,
on the back
no,
end of
a
the.
house directly behind the building. Are we, that's actually a garage, that's a garage.
Yeah,
that
and
somebody has
adjacent to
set-
it, there's a
That has it
house.
set up as a business, so.
It's still zoned residentially there, and there's the entire block behind you is all residential. I mean, like, we're not saying that we're against it, we're just saying, like, those are the facts.
Okay, I understand that. See, only problem I'm having, I gotta get understanding, are y'all opposing us or are y'all trying to work with us?
No.
So that's all, so we just
The
trying to look
latter.
at what
We
step we
just
need to
said
go
that
forward.
the best way to do it
The
is
latter.
developmental.
The developmental variance, and you
Variance.
all can explain it better than I can, will
Yeah.
actually take care of the issues that they're saying you
Of all
already
of them.
have. The current application does not satisfy 3 of the 4 criteria that he listed. By getting the development variance, it wipes out those 4, you get to go ahead. It just may mean you'll be deferred to the next meeting to get that done.
Yeah, we'll have an opportunity hopefully to approve it if that's what their recommendation is.
So what
And,
will happen in Rodney, I think you can defer this application just to be safe, and at the next meeting, you'll probably withdraw this current application because the application that we're putting in for the variance for development standard will take its place because it's 2 completely different actions. Because the variance for development center is approved solely by the Board of Zoning Appeals, whereas the special use is a recommendation from the Board of Zoning Appeals to the City Council. So in a lot of ways, it's less burdensome on the petitioner themselves.
Do you understand?
Yeah, that's a good point. What he's saying, that's a good
Yeah,
point.
see, once it's done here, and if we approve it, that's it. You don't have to go to the city council.
The second route, but this route, you would have to go before council, and then they still could.
So
They
it's
would
just
have to
like one
approve it.
stop, our next stop, as
Exactly.
long as we meet the criteria, next stop, we could go forward.
Exactly, exactly.
Any other comments from staff before I ask for deferment? Okay. Motion to defer BZA 1918 to our next public meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Move to properly second that we defer BZA 1918. There are no other caveats, and they'll be withdrawing this petition and entering a new petition for a special, variance,
Developmental.
developmental variance, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So, question before the vote. In other words, this motion does not need to include the rescission of the current and the,
No,
Okay.
because we'll keep it on the docket until next meeting, and we'll basically swap those out. I just feel administratively it's best to keep it on the docket rather than having them, because the legal ad has been posted and they did the adjacent property owners list, they can't, at this point, they can't withdraw technically. So the board would vote to, have it removed from the agenda, and we'll do that next meeting.
So we'll do that all at the public meeting, next public meeting?
Correct.
All right, so we're just deferring BZA 1918 to the next meeting. All right. Been moved to properly second, it's already on the floor. Is there any further discussion? If none, roll call, Madam Secretary.
President Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Biles.
yes.
4-0 for deferment till November 12th.
All right.
Okay.
Gentlemen,
Let
we'll
me
see you
give-
on November 12th, and
let me
hopefully
give
we
you
can
this
resolve
down.
this.
Bad thing, man.
So you don't have to print it again.
I know it's a time thing.
Works for me.
Yeah.
They just gotta get it.
Yeah.
So we actually,
You'll come here and we're gonna switch them out. We're gonna switch them out and vote the second one. All right. Thank you. We're not adjourned yet. Is there any further questions from staff? Any other concerns that the board should know about?
Nothing at this time.
All right, I'll ask for a meeting for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Paul, please stay. 3 minutes. Oh, yeah. AJ, 3 minutes.
Yes.
Daryl, we off? You know what the problem is, don't you? We're finally operating the way we're supposed to.
Would either of you elect to leave your packets behind so that I don't have to rerun them?